다 로스um주인가 숨주들에 다데 마체버도 체제 자되는지 남주도 이나다 지가 숨주들에 값수 남시 장모라체 아니 남시를 제 프로바 용예 대스 유뉴도지 용거 다고 남시를 갖고에도 저러와 드링도 이나 남시 항상 야버도와 원에 지나다 Minnesota State की नेगों ताए की दीजिए नांशार दिला जो उन्हें जितना समझी तो दिला नेगों तांगो इधर है कोंबा शूक इधर है नहीं चिक 30 तो बच्चे चे उन्हें जितना फिर गुगो और बात है ताई बना ngaran zo do samro jitang bai na nga do ina phuni jaju jajik na la chodo jam le jong ga yi phenje phuni phela kebe ge ta mi du tang de kon do do mang bu de dong chi de la de tang zo one jina lang ye gi sim shu do ji ya ki che lang ye du la pa do hong sa chong ne ta gong lo to shou ji pe de yo re 아니 다 ngaju ma chen su chore marwe one jina chi 드링기 니모들다 프로파 바디블 마숑 에 도지 고라 ngaju 프로파 미니스터라 동다 nga tu ye be ke jare ta 용년 듣고 도구 배 소라지 빠라빠라 ngaju 프로파 zo che jabe 소라 차도 도와 나마 자가로 ye be 가수 따지 군종 도지 자에마도 개요마다 아리릴레베 lep체 네 소소 레가라 고양 강바 AC 당 heat yourself 대체 깊상치네 대유배 소라지 차도도 하다 그때서 이 전에 체르베기 두저래샤 정보시나
아니 탱 조주의 주베기 송제기 아니 제고도 운주 수초같이 아니 토마델이야 number sama loko sang thone pege ka chibe gelu da ni di hole ya ani ari gelu de dosi ni pero na si dige shei 도제나 고창 그 토네 능가란조 비미게 랑기 셰 투주양데 단나로나 투주양데지 순대 지디도 배서도 됐라면 순대 나로나 쉬어요.
Tering Pögi gelsal hasar Chusum pömütü Pönjo gamaki Suntöla Söbe tazete Ngogu ki legül Şiga çeva Dögü chung varden Gamaki Tagne or Pömi tita tu Sesok Şorbatan Pömi Timtun kişun Gande portantan Te jesu Denke Pömi Ti ge zam Sençö tu yurne Pögi gelkap Logü nang Ngar chung mao be Münata Nyenta çeşe ki Tükap şila Tonle çegü chung yöpe Tüten zegote güne Luksü şorve Pao namla Zente Ngömenta Yaşun ki Senün Narçı lang Nya Şiş Mişun be Şilü Münda namla Tungse nyamge Şüşin yö Debe milo tukcu retu ring tang Hakbar tu Tande yana ki Wangzi batı Pö miri zame Tangyur ve Mügü Pegü mebe Jungha Miri zetu Tüncaki Tüze tenzün Sewa tane Pö miri ki Ngo Tortu Sukde Gyari yinbe Tüce Senge tang Pögü nangdö Jungha çektu Gürgü zene Pemi Che Tang Rawa Chok De Gumba Lopta Gentu Sengur Gelka Jise Geyi Captain Serwa Niente Lopta Tang Jiso Ter Peri Lopte Peri Lopnyer Tang Gülche La Choyong Ne Goknen Peki Rigyo Peki Rilung Minnesota Peri Pinda Mambu Shush Pesha and Samala Tujeshe Xuanyi Dinyamdo Tangazu Sumju Tujen di Kechimbu Yimba Genshe Same Kengi Yore Any Tari de Pewa de la Samdi Da Nyamdola Tangazu Yarumbuchegi Galap Da Pemi Dixu Gi Galap Anzu Jubia di Kechimbu Yimba Same Kengi Yore Nyamdola Anzu Chikti gi Nibadi Katune Yaku Yimba da Shukchimbu Yowa Kengi Yore Nyamdola Pamada Ani Bola Mola Tangmala Soso Lopchu Soso Pugu Denzola Lopjon da Lopjon la de Lopjon de Denzola Tona Hangsa Terochi O de Xuan Tojana
Ya Sane Pegi Shunu Henzogi Kune Siri Yanjene Ani Sunchish Nalma Shugi
Hello? Today, we solemnly commemorate this unwavering determination, immense courage, and profound sacrifices made by Tibet martyrs who have been giving everything, including their precious lives, for the cause of Tibet, its people, and its rich cultural heritage. We stand in solidarity with our Tibetan brothers and sisters inside Tibet who continue to endure relentless oppression under the repressive policies of the Chinese Communist Party. As we observe this monumentous occasion, we also mourn the devastating earthquake that struck Dingri in Tibet at the beginning of this year, causing significant loss of the life and destruction of property. Our deepest condolences go to the affected families. We also offer our profound respect and prayer for Gyalo Tundu, former chairman of the Tibetan government in exile, and elder brother of His Holiness the Great 14th Dalai Lama, who passed away during this critical period in the Tibet's political struggle. We pray for his swift rebirth and extend our heartfelt solidarity to his bereaved family. This day marks a painful and tragic chapter in Tibetan history, one of the Tibetans will never forget. It is the 66th anniversary of the Chinese Communist regime's illegal violent invasion of Tibet. Since then, both the Tibetan government and its people have endured decades of systematic oppression, terror, repression under Beijing's rule. On March 10, 1959, Tibetan uncovered the sinister plot by the Chinese authorities to assassinate His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama under the pretext of inviting him in the theatrical show at the Chinese military camp. In response, tens and thousands of Tibetans from all three traditional regions of Tibet voluntarily, resolutely gathered in the Noberlinga to protect His Holiness. While ensuring his safety, they took into the streets to fight for Tibet's sovereignty and independence, chanting the slogans such as "Long live His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama," "Free Tibet," and "China, get out of Tibet." This historic uprising was met with the brutal violence as the Chinese armed forces massacred unarmed Tibetan civilians and tightened their grip on Tibet. Since that fateful day, March 10th has remained a deep symbolic of the day of resistance and resilience for Tibetans worldwide. A day of remembrance, unity, and unwavering commitment to the Tibetan struggle until Tibet regains its rightful freedom. Since 1949, the Chinese Communist regime has systematically invaded the Tibetan regions, Dote, Dome, Uzang, subjecting Tibet to decades of exploitation, destruction, and repression. To this day, Beijing continues its relentless extraction of minerals from Tibet, sacred mountain, large-scale deforestation, river diversion, and the construction of massive dams across the plateau. Entire ancestral villages and monasteries have been forcibly relocated, and Tibet's environment suffers severe degradation. In its attempt to systematically erase Tibetan identity, the Chinese government has aggressively suppressed the Tibetan language, destroying monasteries, and targeted monks who have played a vital role in preserving Tibetan culture. Many have been abruptly arrested, imprisoned, and even disappeared through the illegitimate means. Furthermore, the Chinese government has seized the control of Tibetan educational institutions such as Rages Sherig Norbu School, imposed strict quotas on monks and monasteries, expelled them, and enforced indoctrination under the guise of patriotic education. Tibetan university students are denied the rights to take examination in their own language, and graduation theses must be written in Chinese. Government employees face outrageous prohibitions against participating in religion activities. Meanwhile, Tibetan children are forcibly separated from their families and placed in colonial-style boarding schools designed to erode their heritage and instill loyalty to the Communist Party. China targets regions such as Arunachal Pradesh, Ladakh, and South China Sea, reflecting its border expansion and ambition. Online influential Tibetan voices are systematically censored, and platforms for free expression are suppressed. Even in times of humanitarian crisis, such as the recent earthquake in Dongri, China, deliberately obstructing aid to Tibetan areas, deepening the suffering of those in need under those oppressive policies, 169 Tibetans have resorted to suffering in those disparate acts of self-immolation, sacrificing their life in a powerful protest in defending Tibetan's nation, people, and cultural identity. Its unrelenting oppression stands as a stark testament in the severe human rights crisis in Tibet, inflicting profound and lasting harm in Tibetans and their identity. The continued survival of the Tibetan cause and the preservation of Tibetan identity on the global stage can be attributed to the profound wisdom, compassion, and visionary leadership by His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, and the unparalleled leader of the Tibetan people. Under his guidance, both governmental and non-governmental Tibetan people, under Tibetan organizations, along their international government and support, have undertaken critical initiative to advance the Tibetan cause. The United States has reaffirmed its commitment to Tibet through the legislative measures such as the Resolve Tibetan Act of 2024. Additionally, international non-governmental organizations and global community have demonstrated unwavering solidarity in the support of Tibet's struggle. We are deeply grateful for these efforts and remain hopeful that until a just resolution to Tibet issue is achieved, the international community will continue to stand in defense of Tibetan religion, culture, and fundamental freedom. We call upon the international community to remain vigilant and extend steadfast support to confront the ongoing human rights crisis in Tibet. At this pivotal moment of the global political transformation, it is imperative that we rise above the internal division and remain resolute in our collective pursuit of justice. The preservation of Tibetan unique tradition, language, and moral values is not only a responsibility, but a necessity. Now more than ever, both governmental and non-governmental organizations must align with their effort and strengthen their unity and intensify their commitment to the Tibetan cause. It is imperative that every Tibetan actively participate and support in initiatives and campaigns that fortify our struggle. In accordance with the guidance of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, we must reinforce the unity of Tibetan's 3 provinces, consolidate our collective strength, and uphold our solemn pledge to unity. This year, as we celebrate His Holiness the Great 14th Dalai Lama's 90th birthday, we honor His Holiness' lifelong dedication. We must stand firm, unwavering in our commitment and unity in purpose. The future of Tibet depends on our determination, and we must forge ahead with courage, conviction, and unbreakable spirit. We're going to be hosting a prayer for the martyrs in Tibet. It'll be at the Gudugomba, and it'll be at 6 p.m. Pegalo, pegalo, pegalo. Good to know.
Sunday shunu gigune chen yanjala tuji che shugi di jebele ya lubdu rawan sopa lubdu rawan sopa ki chodo kunga shera blani sunjesh naruna shugi. Next we have statement from Kunga Sherap, President Kunga Sherap from SFT Minnesota.
On March 10th, 1959, our heroic and brave efforts from our ancestors were taken to the streets of Lhasa, outside the Buddha Palace, to rise against China's illegal invasion and occupation of our homeland and to ensure the successful escape of Dalai Lama into exile. Today, 66 years later, on the same day, we gather here to honor them. As Tibetans in exile, it is our duty to speak up for those who are voiceless, whose cries are stifled by China, and those whose acts or bravery are met with brutal repression. To the world, we remind you that the fight for Tibet is not just one for land, but for every person who believes in the value of human rights. The plight of Tibet speaks to a global fight for justice, freedom, and self-determination. China's occupation of Tibet is not an isolated case. It mirrors the oppression of Uyghurs, Southern Mongolians, Hong Kongers, the Taiwanese, and many others. My grandparents fled from Tibet at the same age or even younger than I am today. When I ask my Bobo about Tibet, I see tears start to form in his eyes when he talks about the life he once lived, when he attended school, walked near the beautiful bodies of water, and smelled the fresh air, all of which was robbed from him when China invaded Tibet and murdered tens of thousands of Tibetans. As seen in the crackdown of Tibetan institutions and cultural practices, the establishment of colonial boarding schools, the usage of DNA collection samples, and many other inhumane tactics, the Chinese government is actively attempting to erase our identity as Tibetans. China silences and blacks out all media and news from inside Tibet, even trying to retitle our homeland as Xizang. All their efforts, which cost them millions, if not billions of dollars, show their fear of what we Tibetans have, the undeniable and unyielding truth. Our successes in recent history, including Thermo Fisher, one of the largest biotech companies in the world, cutting all sales to China and pulling out of Tibet after our efforts, the passage of the Resolve Tibet Act after lobbying, and many other victories prove that we are in an important period of time and that if we play our card right, freedom can be achieved for Tibet. This is a battle that we can win. Our Tibetan spirit is unwavering, even in the face of our oppressors. They can burn our book, but they cannot extinguish the truth. They can imprison our people, but they cannot chain our determination. As long as there is injustice inside Tibet, there will be people fighting for freedom. And as long as there is oppression, there will be resistance. And to be successful in this resistance, we must be united. In January, when Tibet was struck by a devastating nearly 8 magnitude earthquake, we saw Tibetans from all across Tibet gather to Dingri and surrounding areas to support our brothers and sisters to recover from this catastrophic event. Now look around you now. In this crowd, there are many different people here at different points in our lives, different backgrounds, who carry different stories. Some kids miss school today to attend. Adults have taken off work, and even grandparents who put strain on their body to attend here today. But what connects us all is our identity as Tibetans and our commitment to fighting for our homeland. Our elders, likely the last who have lived in Tibet before occupation, are aging, and China continues their efforts to erase our name. We, as Tibetans, cannot let this happen, and we must keep Tibet alive. With the momentum that we have already created, now is the time that we rise for Tibet. Since China sent us into exile in 1959, many generations have been trying to regain our independence. We are not the first to chant, "Free Tibet," or "China out of Tibet now." But what we can do is fight to be the last generation to say it. Through our collective and united efforts as Tibetans and our unyielding truth, we can do what must be done to regain our independence. Because Tibet must be free. Now, Soma, free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! China out of Tibet now! China out of Tibet now! Thank you.
Sane all of the rounds of the Tozo Kungalala ya, Tuchi Shugi. The jelly ya, Marazo, Umelam Gishinu to Sane Umelam Gishinu to Jogi, and Ishugi Jidupa. Nanse Taralalia, Duchess, Sudesh Naruna Shugi. Next we have statement from the board member of Youth of Umelam, Nanse Tarala.
Dash the naming Latins train and I youth for Umelam advocacy ambassador. Ani naming nang starayi, I am Youth for Umelam's media ambassador. Today we gather all over the world to commemorate the 65th anniversary of Tibetan Uprising Day, a day that marks the unwavering courage of the Tibetan people who stood up against oppression on March 10, 1959. On this day in 1959, thousands of Tibetans in Lhasa rose up against the Chinese occupation, risking their lives to protect their land, their culture, and their leader, His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. As we remember the brave men and women who stood on the front lines of the struggle, we also honor the resilience of our community, those who have carried forward the fight for justice through peaceful means. Whether through political advocacy, education, cultural preservation, or youth empowerment, every action contributes to the larger movement of ensuring that the Tibetan identity remains alive and thriving. To my peers and friends, to the younger generation present here today, we are the future of our movement. Your energy, creativity, and unwavering dedication will carry our struggle forward. Learn from those who came before us, but don't be afraid to reimagine how we can advocate for Tibet in today's world. Stand proudly in your Tibetan identity and let your voice be heard.
We must recognize that the struggle for Tibet is not just a historical event. It is an ongoing journey. As we stand here today, countless Tibetans inside Tibet continue to face repression, loss of basic freedoms, and the erosion of their language, religion, and way of life. It is our collective responsibility to amplify their voices and advocate for peaceful resolution through the middle way approach, or known as Umelam, a path rooted in dialogue, reconciliation, and mutual respect, initiated by His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. This day is a reminder of the power of unity. The Tibetan cause is not only the fight of one people, it is a global call for justice, human rights, and freedom. Every one of us, whether inside Tibet or in the diaspora, has a role to play. Our small actions, whether speaking out, attending events within our community, or educating others, contribute to the greater struggle for free and just Tibet. On behalf of Youth for Umelam, we express our deepest gratitude to all those who continue to support the Tibetan cause. As we commemorate this historic day, let us renew our commitment to truth, nonviolence, and the unwavering pursuit of self-determination for Tibetans inside Tibet. May our collective efforts bring hope, unity, and a brighter future for Tibet. Thank you.
Umelamgi sani umelamgi shini tunzo gi gile nabani le ya tuji che shogi DJ le ya sani tokam chishu kante gi chozo tashtawala ne sunje naruna shogi. Next we have a statement from President Tashdawala from Minnesota Chishu County.
Oh. Reini yang tsube lo tuchura do gongla chidong gujang ngajung argulo chinda sube tsechula kap didugi sumju ge lanteng dambo nangin gaje pao pamunamki makor talangane rangi yakap da miriki chedu ranso lodan nawadela zedenda yana mabe shungi pesayong zojen chochine milo tuchura do kobe ringi nimode bemishigi bechane raran soso tatu babe lenge di hako betone dawo yana mabe shung himbe she betone nangu nyokta chungra chila goma to betone pe kyagada mediki chet tulam doza chidi 제규대 베미 용도 랭게 시그레마도 셰술라 카욕사미 이래 손자 야나마베 슝기 그 드우 감숨도 세네다 두수 당와 달레 데브레 베기 최다 릭숑 게이소 자메 사도 땅다 당신버레 Pögi mirik de yarikla juwa tabda dedi pödi geldi sojuso tana pemirik de zambuling de to tonya mebe sichu nyebaji tonda donshinbe inaya chino gonsa kemko chempo cho kadi tuje kadi da zeden la tene nganzo chenjo nala milo tujura du chinya pemirik 탑즈디 나시 마냠바네요 데네 간주 시지 베미 게 쉐 버스уб기 왜 개갑디 라왈라소 마중버도 잠린 개갑 개지 토이나다 고갑 강준라 베드 찍디다 데베 데자랑 초스 제주인 베나 시게 베미조 니코자 세미교바 가니 요나야 다도 셈슈 마차베 베드도 톨란 도자치디 나니 데유도 다데가 저 제주나 요베 베미조 톨란 도자치디 제네 카파타데 자오 제나 슌랑 우고 제규데 나저 차베기 랭게데 Dear brothers and sisters, today I stand before you to speak about a crucial issue that affects every Tibetan in exile. The Chinese government's persistent attempt to divide us. For the past 66 years, since the People's Republic of China forcefully occupied Tibet in 1959, they have tried various strategies to break our unity, weaken our movement, and erase our identity. But no matter how much they try, they cannot destroy our spirit or our commitment for the cause of Tibet. The Chinese government is not only trying to manipulate Tibetans inside Tibet, but they're also working to create division among us in exile. They use tactics such as misinformation and infiltration of our communities to spread doubt and mistrust. Their goal is simple: to weaken our strength by turning us against each other. We cannot fall into this trap. We must remember that our struggle is not against each other. It is against oppression, the systematic destruction of our culture, religion, language, and our identity. Another major strategy of Chinese government is their attempt to control the legacy of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. They want to dictate the future of Tibetan Buddhism, including the selection of the next Dalai Lama. This is an insult to our spiritual tradition and a direct attack to our identity. But we must stand firm. We must continue to follow the vision of His Holiness, which is based on unity, non-violence, and the preservation of our culture. Inside Tibet, despite decades of Chinese rule, our brothers and sisters are remaining strong. They continue to resist, and their faith in His Holiness has never wavered. Even until the brutal operation, Tibetan inside Tibet remains united, waiting for the day His Holiness returns to the land of snow. Their unity and their courage, for that they showed during the earthquake in Tuadingri on January 7, 2025, should serve as an inspiration for us in exile. If they, under such hardship, can remain united, then we in exile who enjoy freedom must do the same. The future of Tibet depends on our unity. We cannot afford to be divided by regionalism, religionism, and our personal differences. Our greatest strength is our collective voice, our shared determination, and our commitment to the truth. His Holiness has always emphasized the importance of our unity among Tibetans, and it is our responsibility to uphold that vision. So, my dear brothers and sisters, let us stand together today. Let us support one another, and let us move forward as one people of one goal: the freedom of Tibet and the return of His Holiness to his rightful home in Lhasa, Tibet. Phe Gyalo, Phe Rangze Gyalo, Yawa Tenzi Gyazu Kuze Tilo de Tilo Tembasho. Thank you.
Sane dokum chichu kande chozo ta dawala ya tuji shugi di jele ya sane idan chogegi chozo ta shinima la ya sunje shinaruna shugi. Next we have a statement from the president of the Minister of Idan Cholka.
Shisro ta lo sumjuringa sumju tude ta de machebo cheje ja denyenji 남주 더위나다 지가 숨주 두대 값수 남시 담으러지 아니 남시를 제 법바 용예 대스 유뉴도지 용거 다고 남시를 갖고에도 저러와 아 드링도이나 남시 항상 야버도와 원에 지나다 미니스터 스테이트 기 네고타에 기 디제 나셔 딜라도 원에 지나 숨주 두대들라 내공 당고이도에 공부 쉬우기도 ngani ngeni 직 다디도 체체 오늘 지나 피구고 와대 따임바나 나란조 독 섬로 있다바이나 나도 이나 편이 자주 자직 나라 저도 좀 레전드라기 현재 편이 별의 계획이 다미 주단데 건도 도와 망보지 대동치 딜라드 당아조 오늘 지나 랑에기 심수 도지야 키체 랑에 둘러 봐도 공사 전에 다 공로 도부 쇼지 패대요래 아니 다 응주 맞는 수치오래 말왜 오늘 지나지 드링기 니모들다 법방 받디블 마숑에 도지 고어랑 아주 법방 미니스터라 동당가 두 예배게자래 다 용년 듣고도 도우베 소라지 빠라빠라랑 아주 법아주 체갸베 소라 차도도 와 나마 자갈에 옆에 가서 따지 군종도 자야마도 개요마다 아릴레레베 lep체 네 소소 레갈로 고양 강바 AC당 히트 요살라 제체 깁샹치니 대유베 소라치 차도도 하다 따데서 이 천나 체르베기 두저레샤 정보시나 남규인도 지나 나들기 개제셔라 셰 신기메 신용메 숨주 두전도 본달라 다 인보이나 초백이 국갑진 나래 아니 대주지 마셔베나 마티바로 지레샤 제가 딜라드 아니 공사 쪽에 동로를 붙여 졸라 그자 단체 아니 이게 다 이지 돌아 가셔지 수조지 on behalf of the Minnesota Uzan Choka, we would like to begin with paying my deepest respect to His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, the heart and soul of Tibetan people. We also like to pay our respect to the Tibetan countrymen and women who have given their life for Tibet, in particular the Tibetan men and women who have self-immolated for our cause. We pay our deepest prayer for Tibetans who have passed away from the earthquake that struck in Tingri in January. With the statement of the Kasha already been delivered, I have nothing more to add except the following points. For the Tibetan inside our homeland who remain under Chinese occupation, do not lose hope. Those of us in exile continue to fight for our people and will never forget the difficulties you face. For the Tibetan in exile, we stress the importance of standing united for our cause. Our struggle is a struggle for freedom and justice. We can't be distracted by unnecessary internal arguments or issues. Unity is our greatest weapon, and I stress the importance of Tibetan from all regions of Tibet to stand united in our struggle for justice. It is inspiring to see our young Tibetans being active and involved, from joining organizations and initiating solo activities. But it is also important for the Tibetan youth to learn to speak, read, and write Tibetan. As we have seen from recent development inside Tibet, young children are being taken from their families and forced to attend Chinese boarding schools where Tibetans is treated as an afterthought. Therefore, it is particularly important for our new generation of Tibetans to pay attention to our culture, language, and tradition that have been and continue to be under attack. In conclusion, long live His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, the heart and soul of Tibetan people, the spiritual guide and teacher for millions around the world. May the day he returned to Potala Palace come quickly, and may the day the Tibetan from Tibet and in exile unified come swiftly. Thank you all. Purjalo! 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 Purjalo!
Sane Izan Choke Tsonso Tashni Malal Tuchi Shugi. Chidangi Zirim Naloli, Chuzutumi is Tamshi Jude, Tata Chuzutumi, Tata Peto Maso, and Digi Arazus de Sanegi, Chopeng in Shungi, Lia Dusini, Tamshi Shayu, Digi, Shungi Tizidomala, Le Dushi, Tamshi is Naruna Shugi. Tizidomala.
Tokmar Tering ne Peri Chitun Chokbe Tapshu ne Sumju Tijin ki Kola Tik Kashi Jushu Chobashu Tering ki Nimo di K Chempo Yinbe Matu Pemi Tame Kesere Yine ya ne Logi Tundu Jushugi Jilo Chikong Gubya Ngapchu Ngagu Dawa Sumbe Te Chunin Peki Gesal Hasala Gyami Gi Pemi Tongta Mangbo Masu Tangware Janaki, Put Zenson Chene, Tering Lo, Tukure to Doe Nangla, Yami, Marbu, Pemi, Mangpo, Nature Tangwa Maze, Gumba Kantor Wata, Pemi Rawa Tokare, Longo Tukure to Ring, Pemi Namki, Gimpe Tang, Pedento, Linki Kene, Tanda Partu, Sumju Tuje, Sungzi Shupa Nangshi, Mato Mutune, Namyan Temba Jamesi. Tate, Chino Konsa, Jamgu Chembucho, Kuti Tilo Tembata, Yopo Pela Petube, Nere Wata, Melam, Shuki. 투지체 아니 네 인케네 ngazu shenge thola rewaji shucho. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today for the 66th Tibetan Uprising Day. As I reflect on the importance of today, I find myself thinking of a special person, my late grandfather, Lobsan Tashi. To the 10-year-old little me, he was just Popo. But to the 21-year-old me now, he is the symbol of resilience, strength, and hope. His courage reminds me why this day is so important. He escaped from Tibet at the age of 26, a journey marked by loss, immense pain, and uncertainty. Yet, despite the suffering of the past, he remained determined. He held onto his culture, his faith, and his hope until his dying breath. But the journey of hope does not end there. It lives on in us, a flame passed down so that we never forget where we come from. Today, as we remember Tibetan Uprising Day, I honor him, and I honor all the elders in our community. Not just for the hardships they endured, but for never losing hope. I refuse to let our history become a whisper of the past. Their legacy must live on. So to the youth today, let us remember that the struggle for freedom, justice, and cultural preservation is not just a story of the past. It is a fight that continues today. It's time for our generation to stand up. Tibetan Uprising Day is not just history. It's a wake-up call, a call to defend our culture and to fight for justice. As young Tibetan Americans, we have the power to amplify the voices of our brothers and sisters in Tibet and to ensure that the world does not forget. Our grandparents and parents and the elders of our communities have resisted for decades, refusing to be silenced. Will you choose to stay silent while our brothers and sisters in Tibet are forced to stay silent? Will you let the struggles of our grandparents be forgotten? Will you stand by while their hopes and dreams fade? No, now is the time to educate yourself, to speak up, and to unite and to take action. The world changes when young people rise. So rise for our country, rise for our freedom, and rise for our people. The time is now. Step forward and lead the change. Free Tibet. Pegelo.
Jumalal tuji shugi and ngarazo shugi and goji tenzi konjol hadelalia dosi tabjesh alma shugi sobengeni shugi nilia dosi ni pyeji tabje.
Desile and good morning. My name is Tenzil Hadje, and on behalf of Chafam and Lamte, I want to express my gratitude to each of you for being here today as we come together to honor and reflect on the significance of March 10th. This day marks the 66th anniversary of the 1959 Tibetan Uprising, when Tibetans in Lhasa rose up against Chinese occupation only to face brutal repression. It is a day of remembrance and mourning, but also a day of resilience. As we reflect on the struggles of our past and the challenges that lie ahead, we take this time to recognize how these experiences continue to shape our present and guide our future. When the earthquake struck Tingri, my heart sank. To me, Tingri was not just a city on a map. It was the birthplace of my grandparents. They used to walk those roads as children, paths that are now cracked and broken, roads that no longer exist. When I saw the pictures and videos, I cried for days. I couldn't help but picture them there, running, playing, growing up on that very land. To know that those same roads, the villages and homes were turned into rubble and the people devastated, having lost almost everything, it was heartbreaking. But in that heartbreak, I also saw the resilience of our people. I saw the way Tibetans from all regions came together, supporting each other through loss and rebuilding what was broken. It reminded me that no matter the distance, no matter the circumstances, our connection to our homeland and to each other remains unshaken. And that is why supporting our community in both good times and bad is so important. This experience also deepened my appreciation for how diverse our community can be, not just in culture, but also in thought. We may not always agree on every matter, but our shared heritage and common purpose bind us together. It is crucial to honor that unity, especially when faced with adversity. We also mourn the passing of a great figure in Tibetan history, Jalud Hindubla. His contributions were immeasurable. He dedicated his life to the well-being and future of Tibet, and his legacy will continue to inspire generations to come. We will always remember the invaluable work he did for our people, and while he is no longer with us, his spirit and his vision will live on. And finally, this past year, Minnesota Tibetans have faced many challenges. We've lost many community members, some too soon, and some having left legacies. We've also been tested in ways that we never expected. But through it all, we've remained strong and come together as a community to support one another through grief and hardship, just as we always do. As we stand here today, united by our shared history and our dreams for the future, let us remember the strength we draw from each other. Let us continue to carry forward the legacy of those who fought for our freedom and those who are no longer with us. One world, one dream, free Tibet.
Thank you, Ladinla. It is now my privilege to introduce today's guest, Minnesota Senator Eric Pratt, who proudly serves District 54, which includes, to name a few, Shakopee, Burnsville, and Lakeville, which is home to many Tibetan Americans. Senator Pratt has dedicated much of his career to serving the people of Minnesota and is a strong advocate for human rights. He also serves as a legislative member of the Council on Asian Pacific Minnesotans. We are so very thankful for the Senator's continued support for Tibet and the Minnesota Tibetan community's aspirations for justice and human rights inside Tibet. So please join me in warmly welcoming Senator Eric Pratt to share a few remarks.
Well, thank you. We have a beautiful day to be out here today. It's really an honor to be with you to commemorate the brave souls who resisted the Chinese occupation 66 years ago today. On March 10th, 1959, tens of thousands of Tibetans took to the streets of Lhasa, rising up against the Chinese illegal invasion of your homeland. Thousands were killed when Chinese soldiers opened fire, but the Tibetans refused to surrender. And many hundreds worked to save the life of the Dalai Lama, helping him to exile the country where he could continue to lead your people and advocate for you. Minnesota supports the Tibetan community. We join you in condemning the communist oppression of your identity, your culture, and your religion. We stand with you in demanding basic human rights for a free and democratic Tibet. And I want to commend the Dalai Lama's commitment to nonviolence and seeking a peaceful resolution for you and your people. So with this, please know that we in the Minnesota legislature support you in commemorating today is a very important day for you. And have a wonderful day. And please go in peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Pratt. And sorry, I'd like to quickly pause for a moment to invite up our speakers from today, the different organizations, for a quick photo with Senator Pratt. So, Regional Tibetan Youth Congress, if you could please come up, Students for Free Tibet, Chichikandu, Utsan Choga, and Students for Free Tibet. Oh, and Regional Tibetan Women's Association. If you could please come up, we'll take a quick photo before we wrap up this session of our event. And I'd also like to acknowledge that today, at the 66th commemoration of Tibetan National Uprising Day, we had a handful of local media come by. So we'd like to thank all the media members for covering the 66th commemoration of Tibetan National Uprising Day.
Thank you, Senator Eric Pratt. DJ de la ane kombe madio kon le ya nganzo mima yone taringi tudingi mima langlo chi do che bingi shu samalo kusha na lo na oda
Long live! Long live! Long live! Release! 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 Long live! Chinese life! Chinese life! Long live! Stop the killing! Stop the killing! Stop the murder! Stop the torture! Long live! Long live! United Nations!
We want justice!
United Nations!
We want justice!
Tibet belongs to!
Tibetans!
Tibet belongs to!
Tibetans!
Pergi Dangdu! Pergi Dangdu! Gyaram Buche! Kutse Shabetin Bashu! Gyaram Buche! Gyaram Buche! Long live! Long live! Release! 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 United Nations!
We want justice!
United Nations!
We want justice!
Stop the killing!
In Tibet!
Stop the torture!
In Tibet!
Stop the killing!
In Tibet!
Stop the torture!
In Tibet!
Last one, thinking of Tati Zanzo, fellow to the United Nations! United Nations! Long
United Nations. Pyoge Dogbo. Pyoge Dogbo. Long live. Long live. One dream.
Tibet, free Tibet.
One dream.
Free Tibet, free Tibet.
Long live.
Dalai Lama.
Long live.
Dalai Lama.
Shame, shame.
China shame.
Chinese government shame. Shame, shame.
Chinese government shame.
Shame, shame.
Chinese government shame.
One world, one dream.
Free Tibet, free Tibet.
One world, one dream.
Free Tibet, free Tibet.
Long live.
Dalai Lama.
Long live.
Dalai Lama.
Release, release.
Pension Lama.
Release, release.
Pension Lama.
Release, release.
Pension Lama.
Release, release.
Pension Lama.
Long live.
Dalai Lama.
Long live.
Dalai Lama.
United Nations.
We want justice.
United Nations.
We want justice.
Pyoge Dogbo.
Remain.
Pyoge Dogbo.
Remain.
Tibet belongs to.
Tibet.
Tibet belongs to.
Tibet.
United Nations.
We want justice.
United Nations.
We want justice.
Stop for killing.
In Tibet.
Stop for genocide.
In Tibet.
Stop for killing.
In Tibet. Dalai Lama. Dalai Lama. We want justice. In Tibet. In Tibet. China shame. In Tibet. China. China, China, China. China, China, China. Tibet belongs to. Tibet belongs to. Tibet belongs to. China. China. Tibet die. Tibet die.
Long live.
Dalai Lama.
Long live.
Dalai Lama.
Long live.
Dalai Lama.
Shame, shame.
China shame.
Shame, shame.
China shame.
Shame, shame.
China shame.
Shame, shame.
China shame.
Tibet belongs to. Tibet belongs to.
China, China, China. China, China, China. Free Tibet, free Tibet.
Free Tibet. Free Tibet.
Free Tibet, free Tibet.
Free Tibet. Free Tibet.
Free Tibet, free Tibet.
Free Tibet. Free Tibet.
Tibet belongs to.
Tibetans.
Tibet belongs to.
Tibetans.
Tibet belongs to.
Tibetans.
Long live.
Dalai Lama.
Long live.
Dalai Lama.
Long live.
Dalai Lama.
Pension Lama.
Release, release! Release, release! Wake up, wake up!
United Nations in Tibet.
Free Tibet.
One, dream!
Free Tibet, free Tibet.
Pyoge Dogbo!
Remain.
Pyoge Dogbo!
Remain.
Shame, shame!
Chinese government shame.
Government shame! Shame, shame!
Chinese government shame.
Shame, shame!
Chinese government shame.
Shame, shame!
Chinese government shame.
Human rights! Human rights! Freedom of media! Freedom of media!
In Tibet. In Tibet. In Tibet.
Dalai Lama.
Peggy Double, Hemi, Tibet belongs to Tibetan, Tibet belongs to Tibetan. Long live
Dalai Lama.
Long live
Dalai Lama.
United Nations,
We want justice.
United Nations.
We want justice.
Shame, shame,
Chinese government.
shame, shame.
Chinese government.
One world, one dream.
Free Tibet. Free Tibet.
One world, one dream.
Free Tibet. Free Tibet.
Peggy Double,
Hemi Yi.
Peggy Double.
Hemi Yi.
Long live,
Dalai Lama.
long live,
Dalai Lama.
long live,
Dalai Lama.
long live.
Dalai Lama.
Gyorum buçuk,
Kuze tilo te basho.
gyorum buçuk,
Kuze tilo te basho.
gyorum buçuk.
Kuze tilo te basho.
United Nations,
We want justice.
United Nations.
We want justice.
What do we want?
We
나야는 뭐 죽기만 페로나 아들 내기 사기로셔. 자디 나나 또야래 자디 kin 내 키로나 제 페로나.
justice.
Shame, shame,
Chinese government.
shame, shame.
Chinese government.
One world, one dream.
Free Tibet. Free Tibet.
One world, one dream.
Free Tibet. Free Tibet.
Peggy Double,
Hemi Yi.
Peggy Double.
Hemi Yi.
Tibet belongs to human rights. Human rights. Stop the killing. China, China, China. China out of Tibet now.
Long live
Dalai Lama.
Long live
Long live.
Dalai Lama.
Long live.
Dalai Lama.
Tibet belongs to
Tibetan,
Tibet belongs to
Tibetan.
Human rights in Tibet. Human rights
In Tibet.
Stop the killing.
In Tibet.
Stop the killing.
In Tibet.
Stop the torture.
In Tibet.
Stop the torture.
In Tibet.
United Nations.
We want justice.
United Nations.
We want justice.
China, China, China.
Out, out, out.
China, China, China.
Out, out, out.
China out of Tibet now.
China out of Tibet now.
Long live.
Dalai Lama.
Long live.
Dalai Lama.
Tibet belongs to Tibet belongs to human rights. Human rights. Stop the killing.
In Tibet.
Stop the killing.
In Tibet.
Stop the torture.
In Tibet.
Stop the torture.
In Tibet.
United Nations. United Nations. China, China, China. Out, out, out. China, China, China. Out, out, out. China out of Tibet now.
China out of Tibet now.
Mima samalo arozo sama rules na rona ro adu gege shabrim ji song dejel ya denzi melam ji song an de che adu tari jege gi
Mema pi suja shesa de yungen number 2 스페나로 담보 루스로 지나다. 다 두주 셔라 매 ngazo 강전조게 제림 제고 주담 쉐이 데 타베 선데나 간제고 덴제가조 고대 미셰 개가 남대지 신대는 저바 신자 지대솔레 관계 거드시 초도 쇼와 남제노베 사메메여 고사게베 버테서 사베 시저선어 다자도시 타베 선데나 간제공부 딘지가조 고대 미셰 가가 남대지 신대는 거두바 신자 세베 정보 jamla cheba tede waso namda doje thane meje barda bhabe gede tamche aja dosho thabe sode na kanja gombo tinze gaso kote meje gagya rabde je shende lunga dubai shinge lo kharshe shinda dewe thode ne dedo nyamja rowe senge nyamja la so de la thanze be nesobo kande sona daja dosho tame sone kanje gomo kande gaso kande mishe ga
If it's $10,000,
Sorochishugi, Kisnubla. Dimache, Chabda, Soja to the Yore, Chabda Durazala Bodol, the Kini Peronashe.
Tomato Kupa Tondur Bujal, Kujango, the Tambeto, Tiri, Digger, Shabcha, Taksham Juguda, Gundugumbe, Gunduba, Tishigi, Azugi, Mima, Geshu, Parsum, Sangmalola, Mude, Tiri, Mima, Dela, Chik Susu, Gergi Kurlanche, De Shabcha de la Sangmalola, Duging on Ning Tabane Tuchena Shui. Antishigi, Chingazugi, So Tuche Shusadi, Chinga Sobanabata, Tishigi, and Nazugi, Tendegi, Ki Sojada, Shedogi, Jindadige, Udan Chogare, and this on the Udan Chogalaning Tabane Tuche na Shui, and Tishigi, Nazugi, Tirigi sound system, Dige Talagi, Azugi. Kumbe Rangola Chagiore, Kumbe Rangola Korali, and Ning Tabane Tuchena Shui, and Tida Tishigi, and Azugi, Tiri Tuche Shusachi, Marazugi, Chidu Sobegi, Parpa, Chimiamandla, Ning Tabane Tuchena Shui, Tati Shingi, Mazukula, to unity, one and only Doji Chagiore, mixing Ning Tabane Tuchena Shui. Anti Dishingi, Maju Mimasogi, Kurlango, the Sobo de Cardo Sheva Regina, Tiri Mima Gerla Sunzi Shiguedi, Tenga Maju Gerab, Ki Lugula Chung Shavaji Sonza, Dinga Abju Shiguedi, 하장기 이 손자는 나주기 미랍 주종 제발라 나주기 미랍 쉔게 되게 사 소조 지고야디 하장기 계속 차디고 이 손자 대리 얘기 믹스기 투치에 슈사디 대리기 쉔게기 tam시바 지오라 예 지도소베 삽슈데 닝 탁반에 투치나 슈에이 코라도 쉔게 되게 라라 수수 쿨랑체 다 대대도지나 숨주 드리기 tam시디 다샤 자기 지소 송사 답대보다 여기데 코피 페이스 시엘라 이네 디게 디직 초디 시엘라 심주 마치와라 디게 디직 마팝 투사 요마레 코 코피 페이스 지부지 지와점 디게 요마레 수수용어네 라라 수수기직 리서치 पोपोल ठीक हुए नहीं थी मोमोल ठीक हुए नहीं थी पालाल ठीक हुए नहीं थी आमल ठीक हुए नहीं थी जे सुसु की कमांगा की तमशे दी चिराना सुसु खुला नहीं थी की युवा दिला ये चिदी सोबे समलो निंग थापने तुचेना शुगी लोस थी दिशी की आने गाजू की मिर से लेना बुझे मारे गाजू की तमशे दी मिरब चिगी जुग दिए दे मारे मिरब नी की मारे 아주 탑주디 미랍네 고고 겨울은 뭐지 이네 겨울은 뭐지 숭회 데베링라 엔다지 세기데 숭고여데 초직네 겨울은 뭐지 양시디 페디 망주 룽바실라 유그네 마도기 마쇼 뭐지 와 융고 마레스니 대다 고레니 자지 난거 리시소 지제 콩로 제바초 대가 꿀레교 유기데 마주 탑주 미도 디나로 주 디게 레슬라니 이 소장 아주 무 미랍디 무투니네 신게 소교 지고야디 하자 제부지레 이 소장 파마 투투 파마 소이네 수수 부주 디게라 네바도 아주기 벽이 게랍 루주 게이 디게 무투니 직 소교 제제도 직 람도 지고야다 디게 무투나로나 슈에이 아니 다도 데라 겨울 부제 다 안투 타다 민두슈 로스투제나 베겔로 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 투시나